25. The farmer who ran to the reservoir. Sotaizan talked about directing our thoughts towards the benefit of others. Once upon a time, it rained so hard that all the townspeople ran out to their fields with shovels. One person, however, left his field behind and ran toward the reservoir. Knowing that saving his one field from flooding would not save the rest of the fields from being ruined if the reservoir failed. That person's eagerness for the benefit of all saved them.
Number 26. Other people's money.
When Sotaizan was buying land in Yongsan, it took him a month to bargain for the lowest price. Iwan Chol asked Sotaizan, "How can a person of virtue like you haggle over money?" He responded,
This money came from people's donations. Every penny belongs to the people. Public money should be spent very carefully. It is a great transgression to be wasteful with public money. Number 27. A Buddha offering.
Once, while Sotaizan was residing at Ponye Hermitage, an old couple passing by commented that they were on their way to Shilsang Monastery to make a Buddha offering. Their daughter-in-law, they explained, was very ill-tempered and disrespectful. Upon hearing their problem, Sotaizan said to them,
How is it that you know to make a Buddha offering to the Buddha image, but not to the living Buddha?
The old couple asked, "Where is the living Buddha?" Sotaizan replied,
The daughter-in-law who lives in your home is the living Buddha. Since she is the one with the ability to be either respectful or disrespectful, why don't you try making an offering to her first?
"How should we make such an offering?"
With the money you were going to use for the Buddha offering, buy her a gift she would appreciate, and treat her with the same respect you would the Buddha. Then, depending on how sincere you are, the effect of your Buddha offering will manifest.
When the couple returned home, they did as they were told, and ultimately, in a few months, the daughter-in-law indeed became loving and filial. The old couple returned to Sotaizan and thanked him over and over again. Sotaizan said to his students sitting beside him,
This is a practical Buddha offering, one that goes directly to the source of transgressions and merits. Number 28. What kind of person?
A student asked, "What kind of person receives the most blessings in the next life?" Sotaizan replied,
A person who dedicates himself to the well-being of others through his body, spirit, and material.
"Then what kind of person receives the most suffering in the next life?"
A person who has only taken from others through body, spirit, and material.
"What kind of person is most at peace?"
A person who knows his place and can be at peace no matter what happens.
"What kind of person is the wealthiest and has the most treasure?" Sotaizan replied,
A person who can be thankful for what they have and is satisfied in all situations. Number 29. How to change our very essence.
Sotaizan told his students,
If you cut off a limb of a lotus persimmon tree and graft a persimmon tree onto it, you get regular persimmon despite the roots being lotus persimmon. If you cut off a thorn bush at the stump and graft a rose bush onto it, roses will grow. Much like the persimmon and rose bush, you must perform mind practice by cutting off the poisonous mind while grafting on a Buddha mind. Do not let any distraction come between your intention and your practice. This is like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, or larvae turning into a cicada, which sings through the night. When a fly is just a maggot, it is very limited, but when it becomes a fly, it can live in the king's chambers, eat the king's food, and sleep in the king's bed. We must change in the same way. We must study how to change our very essence. Number 30, tidying our minds.
Sote-san taught us that even while tidying our things, we must always maintain the practicing mind.
I tell you to clean properly in the hope that you will also sweep away your distracting thoughts. Essentially, our mind is pure. However, sometimes, depending on the situation, that pure mind can be poisoned with jealousy, greed, and hate. Just as we clean the house that we live in, we should clean our minds. We must get rid of the root of our distractions, just like pulling out weeds. Tidying your things is a way to tidy your mind. When your mind is distracted, it reflects on your surroundings. If your belongings are in disarray, that means your mind is just as unstable. Even if you have pulled out most of the weeds, if you do not finish the job, there is no point in cleaning. Likewise, even if you get rid of all your distractions, if you do not practice organizing the mind, there is no point in mind practice. Therefore, always maintain the habit of organizing your belongings and your home so that it may reflect on your mind practice. Number 31, your purpose.
When the children living at the One Buddhism headquarters came to say good morning to Sote-san, he would think well of them and give them some snacks. One time, during an evening class, he said,
At first, I commended these children for stopping by every morning and saying hello. But now, I do not know if their purpose is to say good morning or to receive snacks from me. Ask yourself, what is your purpose for being in this place? We must always think of the reasons and purposes behind everything. No matter what hardships you face, you must not forget the original purpose that you had. Number 32, the value of a single grain of rice.
a student was washing some rice and dropped some on the floor. Sote-san picked up a single grain and told the other students to do the same. He said,
If we are reckless with this grain that the farmers worked so hard for, we will receive the retribution of being without food in the future. We must know the value of each grain and be grateful. Number 33, to spit towards the sky.
Sote-san said,
A bad person harming a good person is like spitting towards the sky. You're only spitting towards yourself because it falls down. It is also like sweeping dirt towards the wind. The dirt is brought back to you. Harming a good person will eventually lead to harming yourself. Number 34, the difficult path or the easy path.
Sote-san and his student, Yi Chonpon, were climbing a steep mountain behind Chongyun Hermitage. Sote-san said,
Climbing a steep pass naturally enhances my one-pointed mind practice. You rarely stumble on a steep trail, but are actually more prone to stumble on a level trail. We are more prone to make mistakes with an easy task than a difficult one. A practitioner who maintains consistency on either steep or level trails, or on easy or difficult tasks, will achieve single-minded concentration. Number 35, How to own a train.
A person visited Sote-san, and during their conversation he said, "The train between Chonju and Iksan is run by the wealthy people of this Chola region, and they are allowed to ride the train for free." In saying this, the visitor showed his envy. Sote-san said,
Have you not made that train yours yet? You must be very poor.
The man was very surprised and asked, "I would imagine it takes a huge amount of money to own a train. How can a poor man like me do that?" Sote-san replied,
Even if you owned your own train, I would not call you wealthy. I already own not just that train, but all the trains in the world. I have done so for a long time now. Have you not heard?
The man became even more shocked and said, "I have not heard anything like that. I'm afraid I'm not capable of understanding what you mean." Sote-san said,
If a person is to own a train, he has to spend a fortune and be tormented with the upkeep. But the way I own it does not take a huge amount of money, nor do I need to take responsibility for the train. Whenever I desire to go somewhere, I simply pay a certain amount and then use the train however I please. On a similar note, a while ago, I went to Seoul and visited the park. I was enjoying the fresh air and all the benefits of that park, but no one told us to leave or never to come again. Owning a small garden at a resort would cost a fortune, but I could enjoy that park just as much without any payment. The desire to own something is simply for one's own personal comfort. However, I use the train and the park as much as I want. How is that not better? This is why I say I own them all. Everything in this world, the earth, the mountains, are all mine. I use them when I need to, as long as I follow basic manners and rules. No one can tell me to do otherwise. My household is therefore very large. However, most people have such a small mind that they only concentrate on owning whatever they can. Then they worry about all the work and the responsibility that follows, which is why they cannot see the bigger picture. Number 36, learning to adapt.
Sote-san said,
You must learn to adapt. A stubborn person will encounter many obstacles. For example, you must put away your thick winter clothes and change into lighter clothes when spring comes. The same goes for your job. If you feel like you cannot live on your salary, you must consider your situation and your skills and decide if it is better to run your own business or turn to farming. If you are stubborn enough to say that you cannot change your job, then you will fall into debt, lose your credit, and possibly ruin your household. Meditation practice is no different. If you have entered a meditation session, then you must come to the hall as soon as the practice bell rings and focus on your mind practice. But if a situation happens, such as your parents' deaths or an illness in your family, you must halt and go home. If you insist that you cannot stop your mind practice and fail to do your duties as a human being, that is obstinacy. Number 37, the truth does not have a form.
Sote-san said,
The truth is not in books, it is in the universe. For example, if you study the sun at daytime, it seems like it will be bright forever, but it moves west in a few hours and disappears. Then it reappears on the east side the next morning. Studying the teachings of the sages is to wonder, where does the sun go? And by studying, you will learn the truth, that night embraces day just as day embraces night. The two are not separate. Then you have reached the truth. Also, during the 4 seasons, the cold season comes from the warm season, as the warm season comes from the cold season. Our pain and happiness, wealth and poverty are linked like a head to a tail. They are created by our 6 sense organs. Receiving high praise because of your bachelor's degree or doctorate degree derives from the fact that you went through much hardship as a student. Your wealth allows you to eat and dress well. This also derives from the fact that you worked very hard to make money. On the other hand, some people become completely broke after being rich, and some people suffer by losing their beloved children. If we seek to find the cause, we will know that they had transgressed in the past. Therefore, the myriad phenomena in the universe and all things with or without form are connected. Happiness and pain, being wealthy and being poor, all the changes among them are the formless scripture that teaches us the truth of the Buddha Dharma. Number 38, skipping morning meditation.
Chon Ku-il was in charge of ringing the bell at the One Buddhism headquarters. He was to strike the bell for morning meditation at 5 a.m. every morning. One time, he misread the clock and rang the bell at 1 a.m. The people at the headquarters heard the bell and gathered at the Great Enlightenment Hall to participate in morning meditation. When they realized it was only 1 o'clock, they started to argue about whether or not they should do the meditation. The bell rang. We have no choice. We should start meditating right now. But there is still 4 hours left for the sun to rise. How are we supposed to meditate until then? We should go back and wake up again at 5. We are all tired from lack of sleep right now. How can we wake up at 5? We should meditate right now. Go back to sleep until the sun rises and not ring the bell at 5. After a heated discussion, they reached the conclusion that they could not meditate for 4 hours, nor could they wake up again at 5. So, they went back to their beds to sleep through the sunrise. Upon hearing this, Sote-san became angry.
Just because you woke up at a mistaken time does not make it right to sleep right until morning. That conclusion is ridiculous. How can you wish to become Buddha one day with that attitude? The mind practice should keep you busy as if your beard is on fire. A practitioner of the way should never miss his meditation, even if he has to miss a meal. You have all come here to study and practice, but instead you break the rules and skip meditation. You are worse today than you were yesterday, and can never in this way do anything for the common good. What happened this morning was your mistake, so you must all reflect upon what you did wrong and work so that it never happens again. Number 39, the reason behind great talent.
When Tae-ho, Kim Chong-mook's brother, was 7 years old, he went to the one Buddhist temple with his friends. When he saw the portrait of Buddha on the altar, he said, "Even I can draw that." Hearing this, a priest brought him some paper and a brush. Tae-ho took the brush, dipped it in paint, and began painting a portrait exactly like the one at the temple. Everyone was so amazed that they sent the piece to the administrative office, and the teachers in the area all came and gasped at his talent. They even had a wager on him. Eventually, the teachers said that a genius like this had to be trained, and with their teachings, Tae-ho's skills grew every day. He would forget about the time of day or even the seasons of the year, and focused on painting. Seeing his talent and hard work, everyone said that he would grow up to be a famous artist. His skills eventually reached a limit and then would not grow any further. No matter how hard he worked, he could not improve. So his brother, Kim Chong-muk, asked Sotae-san the reason. The master replied,
Have you ever cultivated land?
Yes, I have.
A land that has been cultivated before is easier the second time. Your brother's case is no different. The reason he could draw the portrait with such ease at first was that he had great artistic talents in his previous life. However, now that his skills have reached the capacity of his previous life, it is just like cultivating new land. It is difficult and slow. If he wishes to become a great artist, he has to keep on trying. Thomas Edison made many inventions, but that did not happen in his one short lifetime. He had practiced his talent and skill throughout many lifetimes, and that hard work had eventually paid off in the lifetime when he was born in the 19th century. Another man by the name of He Nung, the sixth patriarch of Chinese Zen Buddhism, was a woodcutter who became greatly enlightened and attained Buddhahood when he heard the phrase, "Give rise to a mind that does not dwell anywhere." This was possible because he was a great holy man in his previous life.